engines. This is the Women's Motorsports Network. From dirt track nights to the bright race lights, from the garage to victory lane. Women are rising, chasing the dream, with horsepower running through their veins. Women's Motorsports Network. Hear those engines roar. Stories of courage, speed, and heart, like you've never heard before. Fuel her future, fuel her dreams. Every lap we celebrate. Women's Motorsports Network. Let's hit the track. Let's hit the track. Women's Motorsports Network. Connecting and celebrating women in motorsports. One story at a time.
Hello, everybody. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And I have an old friend on the show tonight. And like he said, we could probably talk for 2 hours, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to save you that because what we need to do, Kenny, is get together and have dinner. Then we don't have to worry about what we say or who we talk about, right?
There you go. Sounds like a plan.
So my good friend Kenny Head is here, and I'm going to tell a little story about him. Probably 20 years ago, I went to the Kalamazoo Speedway for one of the first times ever because I hadn't lived here all that long. And there was Mr. Smooth, they called him, driving the 26 car. And he was my first favorite driver at Kalamazoo Speedway. And I don't really know why. I liked the look of his car. I thought Mr. Smooth sounded cool. And so, I just, you know how it is when you go to the races, something about a car or a driver just like kind of speaks to you. And he spoke to me that night. And so he became one of my favorite drivers. Then it became autograph night. And I took my granddaughters down into the pit area. And I still have a picture of Madison Snyder, who, Kenny, is going to be 21 in April. She was probably about 7 and took her, and I still have the picture of you and her standing by your car. And so, yeah, it's crazy. We've been through a lot over the last 20 years, you and I and our families, and those friendships just don't go away. They just don't. And I know if I ever needed anything and I reached out to you, you'd be there, and the same for me, for you.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
So a lot of people that listen to this show are going to be like, who the heck is Kenny Head? And why do you have a man on your show? Because it's usually women. And so why don't you start by telling my listeners a little bit about yourself and then go right on into your racing story and kind of what you're doing now.
Well, Kenny Head is and love racing, have my whole entire life. I've been in my racing family, as it goes way back to both my grandfathers on my dad's side and my mother's side. I'm a third generation driver, and I started this 40 years ago, and I'm the third generation at that time. My son is racing, and I'm hoping my grandkids will be racing, and that's what we're going to be talking about actually today. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I started racing at 18, a little older than even some of the people that are starting today, obviously. And then so some of the kids we're helping today they're starting at 4.5. So I wish I had that back then. But yeah, I did it for a long time. Absolutely love the sport. And after 40 plus years of racing, it's just time for me to give back to the sport that's given me so much over the years. And got between championships and wins and everything like that. I can tell you that it almost is the same thing for what I'm doing today. What we're doing today is it kind of gives me the same feeling as it does. Not exactly sitting in the car, but after retiring last year or whatever, I had to find something to keep me busy, which we'd already started doing this. But I'm proud to say that I have a really, really big love with the sport, with the mini wedges, and to see those kids and as well too, back in the day, we worked with the quarter midgets for probably about 5 years with the host of our family. Carson, host of ours, started. I watched him get into his first car, actually. We were sitting in the garage, and And Ben Raver and Dale Raver and I were sitting there, and Scott shows up with Carson. And he jumps in his first quarter midget. I was there for that. It's kind of crazy that then we watched him race yesterday. So I love the young kids in the sport, and this is kind of my give back to everything that's been given to me over the last 40 plus years. And the mini wedge program, it kind of got thrown in my lap to begin with. Gary Howe and myself were talking about some stuff what was going on at the racetrack before we took it over. And he said, you know what, we ought to go out there and kind of take that over and see what we can do to make that thing grow. And I said, I'm in. You know what, whatever we got to do, let's do it. And we went out there, we put some stuff together, changed some stuff up, tried to make it a little safer. And then that first day, I turned around and looked, and there was no more we. It was just me. Yeah, Gary had all the intentions on and helping or whatever, but he got pulled away. But I have some of the best people that help me do this. It's a joint effort. We're all volunteer. We don't take a paycheck from this. We have so many new things don't coming this year alone. But I have 13, 14 people that help me run this program, and they're all dedicated to do the same thing that I'm doing and it's just to watch the young kids in this sport and to keep the sport alive. And I think this is the only way it's going to survive. The young kids, there's an age gap there where we just don't have kids getting into the sport, you know, 15 years ago. So there's a big gap between myself and then, you drop down almost 20 years before it starts getting excited again, where kids are getting back into racing. And I still think that we got to keep it going with this young program. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters if it's a quarter midget, if it's a mini wedge, as long as they get the love of the sport and they're out there turning laps. That's kind of why I'm here, and I love it. And like I said, we've got many things that we're doing this year. Very excited about a lot of things that are happening, and yeah, that's kind of where we're starting.
You make it sound like, "Oh, it was not that big a deal, so easy." I can't even imagine the hours that you spend. Probably as many or more as you did working on your race car.
Well, I'm not out. I'm not up till 2 o'clock in the morning doing it anymore. But yes, we do spend a lot of time. It's actually fun because now it's not just me and my crew chief out in the garage or whatever. Todd's still helping. Todd's actually moved down to help me with the mini wedge program. Him and his daughter both came over from that to help me with that. But now my wife is involved. She's the secretary of the program. I got Joel, which is the announcer at Kalamazoo Speedway. He's our vice president. Michelle Sexton, she's our treasurer, and Taylor's our race director. So I have all these people that kind of wish I still had a race car because I'm texting them all the time or whatever. Hey, what do you think we should try to do with this? So they're like, why don't you go back and work on a race car and leave us alone so we can get some other work done or whatever. But I do find it fun. It is a lot of work, and I'm not done. I got some things that we want to try to do. I want to try to do an indoor series next year. I'm currently looking for a place to do it. I want to try to have at least 5 shows throughout the winter, keep these kids engaged throughout the winter, and it gives me something to do too. So
Yeah. So so Taylor's the race director, you said?
yes.
Yeah, so I had her on, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but she was on and talked about it a little bit, but it was in its infancy at that time. And I don't know, there was maybe 20 kids altogether on and off. So, do you have about the same amount of kids? Because I know as they grow up, they can't be in, they can't race those. So, about how many kids would you say you have on a typical weekend?
We actually we have over 50 kids that come back and forth that are in and out of that program, but we're a consistent number on Sundays when we run Kalamazoo. We usually have an average car count like right around 25, 27 thereabouts. When when I came to the program, they had about 9 to 12. Again, not consistent, but we actually we have a new class that we're starting this year because our class right now we have a junior class that is 4.5 years old, that you can start practice, and then racing at 5, and then you can race that junior class from 5 until 9, and then 10 to 14 is a senior class. Where we had that gap in between the 2 that we really were trying to find something to take that place, because a lot of kids at even 13, 14 years old, they're getting too big for the go-kart. And now we've actually started a new class. It's called the Challengers. It's called the Henny Challenger Series, and it's actually taken a lot of parts right out of the mini wedge that they're racing currently. And it's a little bit bigger cart, and they're going to take the restrictor plate out, add a pipe to it, an exhaust pipe to it with a muffler, and it actually accepts adults even. I'm not taking that on yet. No adults. I'm planning my challenge series will be my Charger series. Sorry, Charger series will be from the age of 12 if they've got experience, but basically from 14 to 18. So it's going to bridge that gap right up to the big cars.
That's really cool. Yeah, don't take on the adults because that no, that would be a huge mistake. You
I've been
know,
there, so I know what I
I
know. I've
know
dealt with me for years, and I wouldn't want to do that again.
I know you have, and I was just at the Michigan Speedway Promoters meeting last weekend, a couple weeks ago, and one of the things somebody said was, "I love working with the kids are great if you could just keep the parents out of the way." And so, that's true of every sport, I think, for
It
sure.
is.
And racing, we know, can get pretty competitive and you wreck on the track, and we won't go down that road, but I get what you're saying. But to have that many kids, now how far away do they come from? Because are those all pretty much local kids, or do they come from, other cities pretty far away?
We've got a pretty good following. We've worked together with the surrounding tracks, and we've all kind of changed our schedule around to make sure that we kind of stay off each other's dates. And it's travel. I mean, there's a lot of travel. I got a lot of cars come from Indiana, northern Indiana. We also run the program at Berlin Raceway also. So they're coming from up north. They're coming from down south. I've got a I've got a young kid that actually he's 8 years old, and he's quite a star, and he won so many races this year. I had to move him up to the senior class, but he comes from the east side of the state. It's almost a 2-hour drive for him to come over, and I see him every Sunday we race. We race at Berlin, given Saturdays, and we got 6 Saturday shows up there, and we have 7 Wednesday shows at Berlin. So
Okay.
we have them coming from all over the place.
So when you do the Saturday shows at Berlin, is that part of their Saturday program?
Yeah, the kids get to race. They have their flow racing going that day, so they're racing on TV in front of about, somewhere between 4 to 6,000 people.
Now, isn't that cool?
It really is. It's a lot of fun.
It's gotta be a lot of fun. And then Wednesdays, would that just be just the mini wedges then?
That is just the mini wedges, and it'll be our new series, which will be the new cart that we're bringing out also, yes.
Okay. And then Kalamazoo is typically on a Sunday.
We do Sundays. I tried to make the schedule this year where it was really close to about every other Sunday, but the track actually has a couple things that that they're doing that mess it up, not really mess it up, but just change it a little bit. But for just about every other Sunday, we're at Kalamazoo.
Yeah. And then how soon are you gonna be starting that?
April 12th is our first practice, and then April 19th will be our first race.
Well, you better hope it stops this because I'm looking out the window and it's snowing, so
We've already had three springs already this year, so
yeah, I know. It can't make up its mind if it wants to let us in bread or not, but
yeah,
I think this is
exactly.
the end of it. I really do. I'm just confident of that because all over the country and people that I talk to, they're all racing. And so now we're waiting. And so I interviewed some gals that race snowmobiles. And, of course, they go up north and they don't want it to stop snowing. And then you and I are ready for the sunshine. So, yeah,
Ready to get
easy.
outside, exactly.
Yeah. So do you have people that, like, sponsor, businesses or anything that give these kids trophies? Like, if they win a race, what are they working for points for the end of the year? How does all that work?
All the above. Actually, I've got some people that help us. I've not really pursued too much sponsorship yet at this point. Because for the one reason is we're in the process and the paperwork, it's all been accepted, it's all done. We are a nonprofit organization now. I have the 501(c)(3). We have that paperwork, it's all completed. It actually has been approved by the government. We should have that, I would say, in the mailbox any day. So I didn't want to pursue too much sponsorship until we were received that all the way. But I do have some people that that just come up to us, hand us some money. Here's some money for trophies, or here's money for this, or you guys are doing a great job. Do this and do that. So I do have, and a lot of those are we talk about the adults that sometimes we have trouble with. These are the people that are racing with us that just kind of just hand us over, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. Like I said, we don't take a paycheck home from this. Everything that we take in, every penny we take in goes right back in the program, whether it be for trophies, safety equipment, tools. I'm in the process right now. I'm working on the lightsaver program is actually the track lights. I'm actually working on getting that for our program. It's a wireless system
Yeah,
with the box that we're going to hopefully have that, and we'll be able to take that to most racetracks. So
nice.
we're working on that, but you got some big plans. We still got some things that we would like to do as far as some tools. Go for tech. Chris is my head tech guy. He loves tools, but we're going to start doing some checking the fuel. Just we don't really have a big problem with things like that, but I suspect the bigger we get, the more things are going to come to us as
Mhm.
far as that goes. So we're gonna beat it up before it gets there.
Yeah. Better to be prepared than try to fix it later.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm all about the women, although I love you men. I always say I love the men, but I'm all about the women. So, about how many girls would you have, do you think, racing?
I'll tell you, honestly, I would say we're about 60-40. There's the girls are really kind of coming into it. And I think from what I understand, I've got a rookie class that we're starting this year, and I'm gonna have 4 or 5 new girls that are like somewhere between the ages of 5 and 7. So
Wow.
yeah. So the girls are definitely a big part of what we have going on. And we've got some really good talents in the women. I mean, the girls they're really aggressive.
Yeah.
When they put a helmet on, you don't know who they are, and if
Nope.
you didn't know by sitting in the stands that was a girl, or if they've got pink on the car or whatever, obviously you might be able to tell. But there's a couple of girls that race with us that they put it to the boys just they don't lighten up on anybody, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah. I interviewed Billy Venturini one time in Chicago in his program. And so one of the things he said was, when you put the helmet on, nobody knows if it's a girl or a guy. It's just a racer. And
Really.
yeah, it's just a racer in that car. So what you could be camping every weekend, you could be traveling. There's so many things you could be doing. Why are you doing this?
My wife asked me that to begin with, because she says if we're going to retire, we got a fifth wheel camper sitting out here that we've not used nearly as much as we should have. But after getting her into this or whatever, she's just as much into it as I am, and she's the first one in the truck when we're getting ready to go to the racetrack. So I don't know, to be honest with you. I just love what we do, and I want to be at the racetrack. I mean, I've got a son that races still, nephews that race, so I'm going to be at the racetrack regardless. But I just I really can't even answer that question because the racetrack's all I know. I mean, that's really quite honestly, I grew up at the racetrack. I ate more dirt at Galesburg Speedway than anyone else ever should ever eat anywhere. But I've that's the only thing I know is racetracks.
Yeah.
To go off and relax somewhere and hang out, it's just not me. I wanna be someplace where I can smell tires burning and squealing and making a bunch of noise. So that's just where I wanna be. That's my that's my happy place.
Well, and knowing your wife, that's her happy place too.
It is. It is.
She just wondered at the time how much work and how much you were gonna be gone, but now that she's part of it, it's something the 2 of you are doing together, and, she's had a heart for racing, we know, for a really long time too, and so you can't have anybody better by your side to
No,
be doing
I
what
wouldn't
you're
be
doing.
able to do this without her, that's for sure.
Yeah.
She makes it easy for me to do what I love, and now her love for it is actually we've missed out on some things with the family and stuff like that, just like we did with race cars, but I don't know, like I said, I wouldn't be able to do it without her, and I appreciate all the people that help us or whatever because you've got, like, Taylor Sexton or whatever, she races and then she does this. A lot of my crew that helps us the nights that we race, they give up a lot. I mean, we've got 26 shows that we're doing this year on top of half the people that help us or whatever, they're either working at the racetrack already or they're racing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot.
So do a lot of the kids that you have, do they come from families that are already involved in racing?
There are some, uh, we have some of those, and then we have some others that are familiar with it because they know somebody that races. Funny story, we had a family show up last year. They they played baseball, and they didn't really like the traveling all over the place or whatever with the baseball. They did some other things, talked about doing some motorcycle racing or whatever, but they decided to go check out a program, a dirt track somewhere, and they went there on a Saturday night, and they went up there, checked it out, weren't really impressed with it. They've never been to they've been to the Kalamazoo Speedway to watch races, mostly night destruction stuff or whatever, but they knew about Kalamazoo Speedway, but they know nothing about racing whatsoever. And they showed up at our program that next Sunday just to kinda get a feel for it to see if it was any different than with the first track they were at, because the people found out that they were interested in getting into the sport, and all we wanted them to do is just show them a good time. Just say, "You know what? If they work out to nothing other than just to come out and we get fans or whatever, great." We actually just showed them around, showed them what we do, and then my wife friended the lady that was the mom. And, she they friend each other on Facebook. She asked her a bunch of questions, and they showed up 2 weeks later with a car, and then the following week, they have 2 boys. Then the following week after that, they showed up with a second car. They, bought 2 used cars, but they love it. I mean, they're in deep as they can get now, so they again, they're from nowhere, shape, or form have anything to do with the racing background whatsoever. So a lot of ropes have to be shown to them about what we have to do. One good thing about the mini wedges too, there's no suspension on these. There's still some setup work to do on 'em, but you don't have like with quarter midgets. I mean, you have a lot of work to do with offsets of tires and what tires to run and suspension, shocks and springs and all that stuff, which is a lot for somebody to take on,
Yeah.
you know, I think somebody to get it started should look at our program first, and then maybe if you figure that part of it out, then move up to a quarter midget if you're gonna do something so you can learn suspension work. But they absolutely had a great time, and they're we went we've actually went to dinner with them a couple times over the winter, and they're excited to get back to the racetrack with us this year.
Yeah. And you know what, Kenny? I mean, not to take anything away from the kids whose parents race, but I talked to so many girls whose that's how they got in it. Their dad raced, their mom raced, their grandpa raced, whatever, and that's a natural progression, right? You were a 4th generation, right?
3rd generation.
3rd generation
My
racer.
son's a 4th,
Your
yep.
son is the 4th generation, and your little grandson will be the 5th, right?
He will be 5th, yep.
And so those make sense. But when you can see that you've impacted a family with 2 little boys and brought them into the sport. And that has to be, to me, the most gratifying because kids who grow up around racing tend to want to be in racing. But to find somebody who hasn't got any knowledge at all and then they love it. And here's the other thing I heard you say, Cindy befriended them. And so I do a lot of reading, I listen to a lot of podcasts, racing stuff, and one thing that I hear over and over is, when you have new people come to your track, whether they're coming to watch or coming to check out the mini wedges, you have to reach out, be friendly, show them where the bathrooms are, show them this, show them that, and somebody has to kinda take them under their wing, and so many times that does not happen.
Yeah.
And yet we know that racing has some of the most friendly people. It has some of the people that care more about each other than any other sport, right? When something
Oh,
happens, when something happens, the first people there are the race people. And so to get those people involved has to just make your heart just explode.
absolutely. I tell you, that's we go back years ago, like when the granddaughters were racing. I go back and look and just watch the progression of where they started and the Sextons when they first started and the Longs, you see when they first start or whatever,
Mhm.
and then where they come to and where they're at now today. And that wholeheartedly is the reason that we're doing what we do. I want these kids that are racing with us today. I can't wait to see them. I say today, I want to see them come to a local racetrack and race. I want to watch them race, locally. We all know it takes a lot of money to go farther than the local level. And if we get these kids to jump into the big cars and we can watch them race on Saturday and night or a Friday night race, that's what I'm here for. I just
Mhm.
want to keep the short track alive and that's more fulfilling to me to watch those kids want to race at the big track. And yeah, that I love it. That's my goal is I want every one of these kids to jump into a big car and go race.
Yeah, and what does that do? That keeps our local tracks healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Look at you mentioned Kenna Long, look at her. She was just a crew chief a week or 2 ago.
Yeah. Exactly.
I interviewed her last s last fall, maybe, I don't know, and I can remember when she was little, and that little Alyssa she sat in the car, you didn't even know there was anybody in the car, she was so tiny. And and now look at what she's doing, and there's so many opportunities for girls and boys, even if they can't keep racing, but they can keep their hand in motorsports just like what you're doing.
Right. Exactly. That's what it's about is
Yeah.
keeping them involved. Yep.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to get involved with the mini wedges at Kalamazoo, how would they go about doing that? Who do they call? Where do they go? Let's get to 40 kids.
Well, we have a Facebook page. It's right now it's called Kalamazoo Speedway Mini Wedges. Get a hold of us on there. I mean, there's several of us that have access to that page, and we'll answer any questions that we can, and how you want to get involved, whether it be just to come out and watch, or if you want. We're actually going to do a try ride on the
I was
12th
gonna
also.
ask you that. Okay.
So yeah, we're going to do that. I got to kind of get some cars together for that, but we're going to do a try ride. So there's several ways to get involved. We also I'm looking to try to get some kids involved that may not be they're race fans and maybe not racers, but come out and just see what we have, as far as helping these young kids get into the car, showing them, how to get the seatbelts on, help them get in line and stuff like that. Just have everybody involved in what goes on. So, but yeah, Kalamazoo Speedway Mini Wedges has their own Facebook page. I'll look at that, and we also will be the website. That's new to us this year also too. That's should be up and running hopefully within the next couple weeks. Our nonprofit organization name is Family Fun Mini Wedges, and it'll be familyfunminiwedges.com. So that's going to be our nonprofit part of what we have going on. So we'll have our website, go to that, and it's that way to be for the whole entire program for Berlin and Kalamazoo.
Yeah. So, Kenny, let me ask you, and I won't keep you much longer because I know you have somewhere to go. So, there's many wedges, not just in Kalamazoo, obviously, they're all over the place. Do they have any kind of a national, like, series or anything if kids are really good that they wanna move on to? Or is that the next thing you're gonna be doing?
It's kind of funny you say that. Actually, we rewrote our rules 2 years ago. Actually, it'd been last winter. I'm sorry. We wrote our rules and kind of spent, and my secretary, my wife, and I spent almost 2 weeks rewriting all the rules, looking at see what everybody else was doing. But I don't want to be an island all by myself. But I also, one of the things that we're really, really strict on is safety. We want you to have fun first and be safe. If you can't do those two things, you're not going to have a good time at in our program. But I really think that we're probably really close. There's a lot of racetracks that are copy and pasting our rules to theirs. So
Mm,
I would say we're probably not very far away from having a national set of rules, and it'll be our rules that'll be national. Yes.
yeah, it doesn't surprise me. And wouldn't Kalamazoo be an excellent or Berlin be an excellent place for a national weekend race type thing?
I do my super shoe weekend.
I
We have our own little super shoe weekend. It's
I
kind of
knew
cool.
you did.
Yeah.
You know, I got my Knoxville sweatshirt on. I went to English Creek in Iowa, which is a huge it's not a huge track, Kenny, it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's dirt, but it draws the week of or the week before the Knoxville Nationals, it draws hundreds, not just kids, adults race there too, but mostly kids. The Brexton Bushes, the Wyatt Millers, those kids were all there when I was there. 2 different years I went there. I have a friend that lives in Pella, and wow, I'm telling you what, that is a cool event, and if you can park trailers every which way in somebody's field, which is what that was, and you can hold a national race, and they come from everywhere, think what Berlin or Kalamazoo could do in that. So, there you go. That's my challenge. I know you're gonna figure it out because that's just who you are, so
Somehow. Exactly.
somehow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Kenny, I'm not somebody that can be the flag man or do any of that at the track, but I do wanna help in any way I can, so you have to always know that I'm here, and if there's something you need some help with or anything I can do, you know where I'm at and how to get a hold of me, and I'm gonna do a better job this year of coming out and watching those kids and interviewing some of those girls that are racing. That'd be fun.
That would be really fun. Actually, be great. Actually, yeah. Anytime you just let me know you're coming, we'll take care of you.
Okay, it sounds good. Anything else that you wanna share, Kenny, that I didn't ask you about or that, we left out?
Not really. Like I said, we've got a bunch of new things that we're going to be doing this year. I think we've covered most of them, but just really excited about 2026. See where we're going to go with this. I've got, I've got to kind of thank the people that helped me as far as my volunteer people. Like I said before, Joel, Michelle, Cindy, Taylor, Joe is our safety director. We actually are, how serious we are about safety. Joe from our KTS, the head guy from the KTS, him and his wife are doing our safety. I mean, that's
Wow.
how yeah, we take it pretty serious. So Dale McGann, Tyler McGann, Eddie Benjamin, again, he's on the safety crew or whatever. Chris and Kevin do my tech work. Kim and Caitlin, or I'm sorry, Kevin, Todd and Caitlin are doing the lineups and what have you. And now we've actually brought in we got our own photographer this year, which is April. She's going to be doing, we have our own, like I said, we have our own photographer that will be able to get some pictures and keep it regularly updated and what have you. So, got to thank those people. Can't thank them enough. They don't ask for anything in return. They're just there every week doing everything that we do, and I love it.
Yeah. You haven't stopped smiling since we started talking, so, that's all it
And
takes.
this is all it takes to get me to smile is talk about this program. So yeah,
Yeah, and those kids for sure.
yeah, yep.
Yeah. Well, Kenny, thanks for being on. I wanted to get you on before the season started so that we could start from the beginning and let people know what you're doing and just go to Facebook, Kalamazoo Mini Wedges, and for now, that's where we're gonna find the
For now, yep,
schedule and what's going
yep.
on or if there's a special event happening, whatever, and we'll keep track of you that way, and again, if I can ever do anything or promote anything, you know where I'm at.
I appreciate that, Melinda. Yeah, and like I said, anytime you come out, just let me know.
I
We'll take
will.
care of you, and you get out there and interview those little girls or whatever. Like I said, we'll have plenty of them to do. So
Yeah,
yeah, it'd be awesome.
sounds great. Tell your wife I said hello, give her a hug, and,
She just walked in the door, and I'll tell her.
okay, alright, I'll talk to you soon, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Start your engines. This is the Women's Motor Fun Network. From dirt track nights to the bright race lights, from the garage to victory lane. Women are rising, chasing the dream, with horsepower running through their veins. Women's Motorsports Network, hear those engines roar. Stories of courage, speed, and heart like you've never heard before. Fuel her future, fuel her dreams. Every lap we celebrate. Women's Motorsports Network. Let's hit the track. Women's Motorsports Network. Connecting and celebrating women in motorsports. One story at a time.